A pretty good transition point. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of you mentioned the modern protest movements that we see around the country now, and for the last few years, going back to maybe Occupy Wall Street. I wonder if you talk about your thoughts about those particular movements, Black Lives Matter, the different ones we face, both from a philosophical standpoint and a tactical standpoint. And I'm curious if members of those movements have reached out to you and your brethren or your sisters to talk about, maybe try to glean a little knowledge from people who have gone before.
Earlier we talked about the evolution of sit-ins to the Freedom Ride. In other words, protests, the way that protests have escalated. Now, this is just an evolution of stuff that was started a long time ago, and it's logical that it should continue to grow. As more people see injustices, be it economic injustices, be it racial injustice, be it religious injustice, people see, based on the history of this country and the world, when they see injustice, they now see that it's possible to protest, to correct something that is wrong. So the only way I can respond to your question is, this is no more than the evolution of protest against things deemed to be wrong. So I don't see Wall Street or any other type of protest that's occurring as being in a vacuum, as something that is new. It's just the logical growth, the transition of combating something perceived to be wrong.
One of the most important people to the civil rights movement, the youth wing, and to me personally, was Miss Ella Baker. And in 1964, she gave a speech that one of our musical friends turned into a song. Let me just read you the first two verses of that, because it's our challenge from Miss Baker, and it's what I think we all try to do in our own ways even now. Ella's song: "We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons, is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers' sons." And I think that's exactly what Black Lives Matter is about. And so we were charged in 1964 by Miss Ella Baker to carry on. And, I've gotten arthritic in all kinds of places and can't stand up to walk picket lines anymore. And I'm in West Virginia and nobody's sought me out about Black Lives Matter, but I am there and I'll answer the call if it comes.
One of the things I think is important is that often we can't grasp just how important persons whose names you may never read about or hear about, but who had as important a role into making sure that the movement for civil rights would exist. And I see us continuing that whole approach to life, that there are names of persons, church mothers, women on the line, women working but not being paid the equal amount that their male counterparts are being paid for doing the same amount kind of work. All of that is continuous struggle of what's going on, campaign finance reform, all of these things that this nation needs to continue to look at, using all of us as instruments towards that change. And so there will be persons in each of our lives that have had a role in shaping who we become. And it's just too many for me to remember. My late pastors, for example, my mother and father, my siblings who've been supportive, the churches I worked with who've been inspirational to me. So all of them have had a role to play in helping me continue to be involved in ways that, though physically I cannot, emotionally and intellectually I can still be involved in it.
I think the movements today, though they may not seek us out, all of us out, and ask, what should we do? They draw on what we did. And they shouldn't be trying to be a carbon copy. Y'all have many more resources. You have cell phones. Not only can you don't have to have a pocket full of dimes and find a payphone. You can take pictures and have videos that go viral. You can do so much that we couldn't do. But if you can get inspiration from back in the day, and maybe pick up on some of our tactics, strategies, philosophies, excellent. But you've got to do it your way. And young folks, you are the hope of the future. So learn from us and carry it forward in ways that are appropriate to today.
I wondered if you would tell us, each of you, a little bit about how the rise affected the trajectory of your lives. How you ended up, what the rise did to help you end up where you are now.
Well, the ride got me to Mississippi to Tougaloo College, and I think the experience of being in a totally, a minority of one often, and seeing things from different perspectives, realizing there's all sorts of different cultural differences and similarities. We all ate grits and collard greens down there. But I think that has sort of shaped my outlook on how to live, how to raise my kids, how to work in the schools. So out of the whole civil rights movement, I think it made me who I am in a much better way than if I'd stayed at Duke University.
The benefits, if I can speak to it from that vantage point of having been part of the Freedom Rides, is twofold. One, it helps us develop new relationships otherwise we not have been able to develop because of a common interest in the commonality of a particular program. That's one. So you got the four of us here tonight. The other is, one of the real benefits is it's allowed us to come out here and be with you tonight and to share your meaning for life and how this has impacted you and what you have heard and listened. What kind of difference will it make once we will have left here tonight? So those are the kind of benefits that come from having been involved. The other for me is it expanded my understanding of ministry. That ministry is moving outside of the parameters of the church while being involved in it, but also seeing it in an outreach capacity. How does the church, being challenged today, do what it's called to do to help bring wholeness and human uplift to persons who are broken, who just need to know that they're loved.
One of the options for me in high school was that I would marry the star basketball player Jimmy Pittman, and we were going to have 9 sons, so we had our own baseball team. That didn't work out, but instead, the richness for me of learning and being accepted in African American culture, there's a richness there that I never imagined, and that it makes me a much better person. As a result of the Freedom Rides, I had the courage to think that even though I might not be rich or famous or, all those things, I can make a difference where I am. And in my little community, I've tried to make a difference in whatever way was available. Ms. Ella Baker told us to make the world better, you don't have to go halfway around the world. You go outside your door and do whatever's waiting for you there. And so I've done things as varied as being president of Little League Baseball and helped start a rural health clinic and serve on the public library trustee board. And I hope Ms. Baker would think that that meets her criteria.
In my case, one of the first things that I've learned is I use the word I too much. As a result, I think I'm more humble than I was when I started this journey. You've heard me say before that I pictured myself when I first started college as becoming a nuclear physicist. And because of the Freedom Rides, that changed entirely. I started out at Howard University, and serendipitously, I ended up at the University of Wisconsin. Shortly thereafter, I ended up at Harvard University for my graduate studies. That changed my life. I saw a different world. I have learned the camaraderie of the people who were on the ride with me. Now, when we were at Parchment, we did not know what was going on outside the walls of that penitentiary. When you say you were a freedom rider, people will ask you, well, John Doe was a freedom rider. Did you know him? Believe it or not, most of us only knew the freedom riders who were only on the bus or the train that we came in on. But when we had this reunion, and you met the fellow freedom riders, I think it was a total of 409. There's a camaraderie with people that I have never met, even to this day. But there's a bond, and it showed me what friendship and camaraderie can do to a person. It can humble you, and it can make you so proud. A moment ago I said something about I use I too much. Well, let me tell you. Every time there's a book that's published regarding civil rights activities, one of the first things I do is look at the index to see my name.